Hey guys, it's Andrea here at VW Family Farm. Welcome back. You can see it's pretty cloudy and overcast today, which actually makes for really great weather for working in the garden. We won't sweat as much here in late July. It's actually in the 80s today, which is just actually pretty unheard of for this time of year. So we're going to take advantage of it. We're in a very big transition time here in the gardens and in the high tunnels and the greenhouses and all the things. Probably the shift is happening where you are as well. So I want to address that today. So I hope you can hear me over the traffic. I'm actually out front because that's where I need to do some work. But I want to mention this first. This is a Clyde's garden planner. And this is what I use a lot to transition from season to season, to know when to start things indoors, when to plant things outdoors if I need to be starting seeds or if I'm too late for that, if I need to go ahead and get plants or whatever I need to do. This thing will be your best friend. So that's what I'm using today. We're in a very big shift here. Actually, I'm a bit late. If you've been around our channel, you know that both of our kids are getting married this summer. One already has. We're within a few weeks of the other one. So crazy time. So I'm a few weeks off schedule, but that's not gonna stop me from at least trying. So we're gonna walk over here to my garden beds that I'm gonna be working in today. They're a pretty big mess. I'm going to show you that before we even get there. A lot of things around here are this summer. I don't know if you caught a glimpse of my flower beds, same shape. But it's never too late to tidy things up, and I promise you'll feel better if you do. What I'm going to do today is clean out some garden beds, and I'm actually going to leave some garden beds, and I want to talk to you guys about that. That's a pretty big belief of mine as far as gardening. I think there is a huge move for like beautiful gardening. You can see my pitiful flower beds. They're in a transition time too. We're totally redoing those, but you're gonna have to look at them for the moment. But I am a huge believer in the fact that gardening can be beautiful, but unless you just have unlimited money and time, it does also need to be productive. Now, some people are like, I'm not gardening for production. That's not my goal. And that's fine. Then that to me is just a hobby to you, and it costs money that doesn't really give you anything. And there's a ton of those. We all have a lot of hobbies that don't really produce anything monetarily. Maybe what you're reaping is joy and peace and therapy from gardening. And that's wonderful. I am kind of a mix of both. I like things to look pretty, but I'm also in it for production and to grow food that then can feed myself, my family, my community even. But I also like it to look nice. So I have to kind of rein myself in because we're in that messy time of the year for gardening. Things start to look a little unkempt. Case in point, look at these. Oh, they're a wreck. Okay. But before I get busy cleaning, I want to show you this bed right here that is overflowing with green bean plants. Normally, they would be done by now. I would go in there and rip them out and use that space for something else. But just being honest with you, just being transparent with you, I'm probably not going to plant that space right now. On top of that, it's putting on baby green beans. So I can probably get another flush and get another harvest off of those. So my recommendation, and I feel strongly about this, if you don't need the space and the plants are still doing well, leave them. You've already done so much work to get to this point that you could get another little bit of a harvest off something that you really don't have to do any more work at. Leave them and reap the harvest and then replace them. Now, if you're in a very tight space and you have to have every single square foot and there's a succession and it's a tight schedule, and if you don't do it, you're going to lose out on planting something else. That's a completely different story if your plants are past their prime and you can maximize that space elsewhere. Personally, right now, I have more garden space than I know what to do with because I don't have the time. I'm in a bit of a slack year, both kids getting married, building a market, all the things. So I don't necessarily need that space. Same thing with tomatoes. A lot of your tomato plants are probably starting to look kind of puny, depending on where you are in the country. If you're in like the South especially, we're getting to that part of the year where you've gotten your big flush of tomatoes. So you're kind of in an in-between. I would encourage you leave a few because you will get a new growth, like an abundance of new growth come fall. It will come from the top of your plant. So your bottom of your plant is still going to look dead. It's going to remain to look dead. and then it's going to green up and bush out at the top. You're gonna get a whole nother harvest of tomatoes. Now, is it gonna be as big as the first time? No, but you could possibly have fresh tomatoes at Thanksgiving, depending on where you are. So anyway, just some things to think about just from my years of experience gardening. I'm gonna get busy and get this cleaned up. This bed right here needs to be completely cleaned out. It does have what I call peonies, flowers, you may pronounce it differently in there, that I don't want to pull up. I need to clean up this bed with the corn, and then you can see the bed of green beans. I'm actually gonna leave that. My flower beds down there of zinnias, I'm actually gonna leave those because we're gonna be using flowers from here at the farm for the wedding. So I don't wanna just rip out flowers just because they might not look the best, because I can go in there and get a bunch of good, useful wedding flowers. After the wedding, I may rip out all the flowers and start fresh. Who knows? But not today. So I'm gonna get busy. Also, why am I wearing these blue gloves? Two things. I need to get me a good pair of gardening gloves. Secondly, I don't want to garden without gloves because my hands are kind of beat up right now, and this rich, dark soil just fills in every crack and crevice on my hands, especially the ones that are kind of healing from bumps and bruises I've given my hands because I'm rough on my hands this time of year. And plus they just turn my hands black, and my daughter's getting married in 2 weeks, so I don't want that. Okay, first bed accomplished, plus I weeded all the way around the other beds. Now I gotta get to this monster. A lot of times, sprucing up for the fall garden just takes blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of times the plants will pull up decently easy, especially in raised beds with good soil. It just takes a little time. That actually did not take me very long, but still humid out here. Okay, y'all, if I look like a dirty, sweaty wreck, it's because that was hard work, but it looks so much better. I did find a few of the peonies. I don't know that I found them all, but it was a jungle in there, so it was kind of a great thing that I just found a couple. I don't want to stretch this out to longer than it needs to be. Basically, get out, clean out your garden beds, leave things that might produce for you in the next few months. But one last thing I want to leave you with. I think a lot of times we get swept up into what everyone else is doing, especially like on social media. And we think everyone's planting their fall garden, they're sprouting seeds. I have to, it's time, I have to do it. And that's the one thing I want to say is be comfortable walking your own path. If your life is about to get crazy like mine, with all the things of weddings, we have to do our second cutting of hay, all the things. This year might not be your year for a fall garden. A fall garden is one of the most enjoyable things to me because there's a lot of less pest pressure and weed pressure and things like that. But don't let anyone fool you. It is still work. You still have to plant it. You have to pick it. You have to do something with all the things you pick. And this thing right here will help you do all of that. It's not going to come help you pick your garden, but it's going to help you know when to do all of those things. But if this is just not your year for a fall garden, that is okay. And be okay with that, and still clean up your stuff so it looks nice and doesn't look like an eyesore to you. It gives you a good sense when things are neat and tidy. I still got to get out here and chop all this up with the lawnmower, but it does look a lot better. And I can see this right out my front window, so it was actually kind of eating at me a little bit. And so I feel a lot better just that it's cleaned up. Will I plant a fall garden? I don't know. I still am deciding about that. I'll probably plant a few things, but even if I don't, now they're cleaned up and ready for when I want to plant again, whether that's, you know, here in just the next little bit or whether that's down the road. Yesterday, fun fact, we discovered we have a water leak, and you can see our house behind me. We have a concrete slab foundation. So that is probably going to be a major undertaking, trying to fix a leak in a concrete slab. So this very well may be stacking up to not be my year for a fall garden, but it may be yours. It may be lining up perfectly that you're going to have lots of time this late summer and fall to do that. And if so, I encourage you, get out and do it, enjoy it, it is one of my favorite things. It is definitely my favorite garden. Just a lot less work, a lot less disease, and it's just more enjoyable to me than the spring garden. So I encourage you to get out and do that. If you think of it, remember us. Hopefully this leek won't be too bad. There's the back of the market right there. It has turned out so beautiful. I'm gonna probably show you that probably in the next couple of videos. We got it underpinned. We've got the porch and the roof over it. It is complete. So super excited about that. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching, and God bless.